Welcome to No Nonsense Guy SA.
Ta-da! How's it, everyone? It's been a while. It's been, as the youngsters say, it's been a minute. But I'm back. I know. It's been a while. I know. Some of you are probably wondering if I'd gone soft or given up the fight or maybe even bundled into the back of a black BMW with tinted windows. The truth, far less dramatic, I'm afraid, but just as real. I am a Addison's disease patient, and for those of you scratching your heads, Addison's disease is a rare condition where your adrenal glands stop producing enough of the essential hormones, those being cortisol and aldosterone. Without them, my fine peeps, your body just feels like a cell phone stuck on like 2%, permanently on low battery mode. There's constant fatigue, there's dizziness. One of the symptoms are weight loss. I'm waiting on that one because that ain't happening. But sometimes you even collapse. It's not fun. It's not easy. And it certainly explains the gaps between my podcasts. But I am very, very blessed. I have friends that really can't do anything. And it's very, very depressing for them. But nonsense in this country doesn't take a day off, and neither will I. I'm back. I'm stronger. I'm ready to rip into the stories making headlines. Listen, I always forget to ask, so I'm going to do it up front, okay? And I think that you guys will want to as well, If you want to, you will. That's what, that's why I forget all the time, because I'm 55 and I'm grown up. But can I ask you to please like, share, and subscribe? For those of you that don't know, it doesn't cost you a cent, not a paltry cent, okay? But it helps podcasters tremendously. You carry on doing it quickly, and just go to listening. I'll wait for you, and I'll pander a little bit. So go like, share, subscribe right now. Okay? You're just listening, right? Okay. So here's the plan for today. 5 big stories, 3 minutes each. Well, roughly. That's 15 minutes of no-nonsense truth. So, like the wind said to the coconuts, strap in. This isn't any ordinary blowjob. We're going to start with Paul Mashatile. Why? Well, just because he grates my flippin' gonads. Okay? So, Paul Mashatile, Deputy Minister of South Africa. On paper, he earns what every cabinet minister earns. That's around 2.3 million a year. A solid salary, for sure. But not exactly buy you multiple mansions money. Now, here's the problem. Mashatile has somehow managed to acquire luxury properties in Sandton, Bryanston, in Clifton, in the Cape. This is his house there. We're talking houses worth tens of millions. On top of that, he's been spotted in flashy cars, hosting dinners fit for royalty, and there are even rumors of offshore accounts that keep swirling around. So, how do you fund that lifestyle on a government salary? I will tell you how, because I'm a financial advisor, okay? So I'm going to tell you how to do it. That's a very, very short answer. You don't. Unless, of course, there's other income. A little thing on your shoulders where it says other income. Please tell us what your other income is, okay? And here's where South Africans are rightly suspicious. A, because we're not flippin' stupid. Because Mashatile has been fingered in allegations linking him to shady business people who secured state tenders, especially during the Zuma years, but not limited to, because of late he he has also had a few things where the house in Clifton, for instance, wasn't on his declaration. Then all of a sudden it was on his declaration. The Hawks. Remember the Hawks? They took over from the Scorpions, who were bloody good. They silent. But SIU, nowhere to be seen. And Mashatile himself. He smiles, he denies, and he carries on. Meanwhile, ordinary citizens like you and me are lectured to tighten our belts while our leaders expand theirs to fit their new Gucci suits. It really pisses me off. I don't know if I mentioned that. How these people, like, they just parade in front of everyone. And they're crooks. Bottom line, they're crooks. And it gets paraded in our faces. It's shocking. Next up, let's talk about the Madlanga Commission, okay? Remember when commissions of inquiry were supposed to actually do something? I realized what I just said because we had Zondo and bugger all's been done, Nugent, Mokoro, and now we've got Madlanga. Madlanga. Its purpose is to dig into corruption within policing and justice. All of us cheered at first. Finally, a spotlight on dirty cops, dodgy procurement, and political interference. But here's what's happened since. Endless testimony, leaks to the press, and then silence. The cycle is actually predictable by now. Shocking revelations one week, and then absolutely nothing the next. And just when you thought policing couldn't get weaker, along comes the suspended police minister. He's accused of misusing state resources, interfering in contracts. Guys, these are serious things, eh? You're the police minister. You misuse state resources. You interfere in contracts. And possibly you even direct operations for political purposes. I mean, how stupid can you be? Your police force should be apolitical. And then, when you called out, instead of resigning in shame, okay, this box, okay, Hirdie is put on full pay and he's sitting at home while crime in South Africa spirals. Let me paint it plainly, okay? People in rural villages are running night patrols themselves. How's that? In rural villages where all the gogos stay, and these people most certainly don't deserve that type of cuck. But they're running night patrols themselves. Because why? Because of the bad influence. It comes all the way from the top and it filters down. Residents in Joburg, in the suburbs here, we hire private security. And you know what? That's just to feel safe. That's crazy. And all the while, the leadership of SAPS is in a limbo because endless commissions and ministers on holiday with benefits just keep happening. If you or I messed up, hey, in our jobs like they do, we'd be fired one time. But government, you get a sabbatical. Isn't that wonderful? Now, to the circus at Luthuli House. Ramaphosa, Mr. Long Game, the man who always waits, watches, and calculates, you know? He's finally miscalculated. Here's the backdrop. So Ramaphosa was meant to kind of be the new dawn, right, after Zuma. Clean government, stability, foreign investment, fixing Eskom, the whole 9 yards. But instead, we got pala dollars stuffed into sofas, endless load shedding, and zero accountability. Here's the last straw, though. A political blunder involving ANC candidate lists and failed promises around coalition talks. Even his own comrades are now saying he's weak, indecisive, and way past his sell-by date. And here's the kicker. Many of those sharpening their knives, for him, are themselves tainted. They shout about integrity while standing knee-deep in scandals. Knee-deep in a cock. The ANC is no longer a party governing the country. It's a party cannibalizing itself. Ordinary South Africans, well, they don't care about Ramaphosa's palace politics. They care about jobs, electricity, safety, and potholes. I'm sure you agree. But the ANC, the ANC is too busy staging its own Game of Thrones. And trust me, when politicians start paying for blood, the people, that's you and me, always end up paying the price. So, let's go a little bit international because, after all, the world doesn't revolve around South Africa, which, in terms of size of economies and that, would be number 13 from the bottom of the 52 states in the United States. That's how small our economy is. But let's go over to France, okay? The French have always had a flair for dramatic resistance. Remember, these are the people who guillotined kings. But in 2025, their weapon of choice is still the strike. What's happening over there? Well, Macron's government has introduced a series of labor reforms and austerity measures aimed at saving the economy. Translation? Ordinary workers are asked to sacrifice while the wealthy elite carry on sipping champagne in France. Basically, teachers, transport workers, healthcare staff, they've said enough. Enough is enough. The result? Cheesy. Mayhem. Trains have halted, flights have been cancelled, schools are closed, and there are millions in the streets. By the way, did you like my French accent? Because I like to do it, even though sometimes it's not very French. But why should we care back here in South Africa, anyway, about what the frogs are doing? Because the French remind us, people, what happens when citizens actually mobilize. Mobilize, get together, go out in the streets, drive on the roads, farmers in their tractors, whatever, okay? They don't just complain on Facebook. They act. They shut down the system until their voices are actually heard. Meanwhile, we South Africans, yeah, we have plenty of protest about Eskom bills, failing municipalities, corruption at every level. Yet turnout for elections drops, okay? That is such a bad way to show your distaste for the government because it only makes the smaller parties stronger. And too many of us settle for grumbling instead of marching. This is something we can learn, us Lungus, that we can learn from our black brothers and sisters. You know, let's get out. Let's go toy. I can't because of my Addisons. But you know what? Yes, maybe I should get a wheelchair and just come and join you guys on a march. Let's actually get out there and let's show these ANC thugs and criminals, okay, what we think of them. Mind you, I do think next year's municipal elections are going to show them. Maybe we need less imported champagne and a little more imported, backbone from the French. They can. And then, of course, I have to talk about it because I posted a reel when Charlie Kirk was assassinated last week. It has had tremendous repercussions, both local and abroad. But it's just showed you what a dire situation we as humans occupying a planet find ourselves in. Because, Charlie Kirk was a conservative activist. He was head of Turning Point USA and a loud voice in American right-wing politics, okay? Love him or hate him, okay? His killing is a turning point. Left versus right, city versus rural, liberal versus conservative. And this murder will only deepen the divide. I think it was disgusting, the way the left handled this. People celebrating at the death of a essentially a good man. You can say what you like about Charlie Kirk, and you can put up all sorts of various claims about what he said, but I've known and followed this man for a very long time, since he was like 18. And he's essentially what every young man should aspire to be in terms of a dad, a husband, a businessman, and a patriot. Anyway, already the politicians are pointing fingers at social media. Social media is actually on fire, and trust in democracy sinking. And then a quieter but equally deadly story. I don't know if you heard, there was a rural shooting in Pennsylvania. Okay. A man ambushed police officers during a domestic dispute call. So the husband and wife are having a little bit of an argument, and the officers come along. The guy ambushes them. 3 officers dead, 2 wounded. Okay. Listen, the offender was also killed, but bottom line is that small town America has been rocked by the kind of violence people think only happens in the big cities. And remember, when the USA gets the sniffles, South Africa gets bronchial pneumonia. So for South Africans, what are the lessons? Are they sobering? Well, political instability and unchecked violence feed each other, my peeps. What do we have in this country? Political instability. Do we have unchecked violence? You betcha. Okay, so in the US, the guns are everywhere, okay? In South Africa, corruption and weak policing, okay, are making the crime unstoppable. Remember, unchecked violence, political instability, they feed on one another. Both lead to blood on the streets. If we don't get serious about fixing our institutions back here in South Africa, our own headlines, could look a lot like America's sooner than we think. So in closing, there you have it. From Mashatile's unexplained millions to commissions that lead nowhere. We're on a road to nowhere. To the ANC comrades now starting to stab each other in the back. Julius Caesar. To France reminding us actually what resistance looks like. Hey, Mensa, the Huguenots, part of us, part of this wonderful nation, are from the French Huguenots. We should remember what is resistance. And to America, showing us just how dangerous politics can become. It's a time to be very brave, to be a politician, or an activist for that matter, even a podcaster. This has been your no-nonsense guy. I may have Addison's disease, but I won't let this country's nonsense off the hook. Stay sharp, stay questioning, and above all, don't take the nonsense. And as I always say to you, remember, use this beautiful brain that the good Lord has blessed you with. Peace out. Until next time, I love you all.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the presenter and are exercised under the rights to freedom of expression provided for in Section 16 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, 1996. These views do not represent, and may not be attributed to, any employer, company, affiliate, or sponsor associated with the presenter in a private or professional capacity. What that basically means is that if the Hawks come and raid my ass or try Anton Taylor, I will sue whoever in their very personal capacity, yes, not the cost of taxpayers, you ignoramuses.